Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's once again time for another product review. In today's episode, we will be taking a look at the HD-PVR 2 from Hauppauge. Now the HD-PVR 2 has a very cool sci-fi look to it. Maybe something out of the Star Trek universe, maybe a little Borgish, maybe a little Star Wars as well. It's definitely a very cool looking device. Now here is the back of the HD-PVR 2. You will have an HDMI in and HDMI out, an AV in. This is for your component cables, USB cable input, and your power adapter. Now Hauppauge is going to give you some software on a CD that's going to have ArcSoft Showbiz software that's going to allow you to record your video game footage and also edit your video game footage as well. Hauppauge has even included a quick installation guide. However, it is very simple to hook up. It's pretty self-explanatory, but if you do need any help, you can just use a quick installation guide if you do need some help. Hauppauge has even included a thank you letter for purchasing the HD-PVR 2. Now Hauppauge has even included one HDMI cable. This is actually kind of cool because some companies do not even include one HDMI cable out of the box. So thank you Hauppauge. Now the HD-PVR 2 does come with a component adapter, so you can hook up any device you want that uses component cables. Right now the PS3 is a little hard to hook up through HDMI. There are ways to do it. I'll get a little bit into that later in this video. However, you can use these to hook up a Nintendo Wii, an Xbox. You have the really old Xbox 360s that don't have HDMI. You can use these component adapters, so just to hook up any device that you want. Now the HD-PVR 2 does come with PlayStation 3 component cables. This is actually a really good deal because if you went out and bought the official Sony component cables, they would set you back an additional $20. Now here is what it's going to look like when you hook up the PlayStation 3 component cables with the Hauppauge component adapter. Now when you hook up the audio cables with the component cables, to tell which one is the right and left audio, red is right and the white cable is the left channel. So just look inside the cable and you'll be able to tell what color it is. Now I want to talk about the power supply. And the reason why I want to talk about this, because there's a lot of talk about the Elgato and the Roxio and how those two devices do not need a external power adapter or so. But the benefit of having its own power is that if your computer is off, you can still game. And you don't have to turn on your computer if you just want to play some Call of Duty or Halo or whatever. With the Roxio Game Capture HD, it always has to be plugged into the computer, and your computer always needs to be turned on just to play it. Or you're going to have to unhook all the HDMI cables and go to Xbox 360 directly back into the television. That's a pain to keep on unplugging this stuff all the time. Now with the Elgato, it doesn't need to be always plugged into the computer. You'll have to get a wall adapter, USB wall adapter, and then take that USB cable from the Elgato and plug that into the wall. So you're still going to always have to be unplugging this all the time. However, with the HD-PVR 2, you're all set. Now what I want to do is show you the ArcSoft Showbiz software. It's capture software, it's editing software. It can also make AVC HD files, so you can make Blu-ray discs, and it also has a built-in YouTube uploader. So right over here I have some Call of Duty footage, and as you can see it's highlighted in green. Now I can move this slider around and I can edit. As you can see, the scissors are right here, but now let me just click on this. I clicked on the gray. Now when it's white, I can still move it, but I can't edit. As you can see, the scissors are now grayed out. You have to click on the footage, and then the scissors will become white. And now you can click on the scissors, and you can edit. And we'll just trim this out. I'm just going to do a simple edit. I'm not really making a Hollywood movie right here. But anyway, that's now been edited out, and so on. Okay, and what you have right here are some, these are transitions. We have some effects that we can do. You can do you can add lettering or words into it, maybe like let's play, or Call of Duty Sniper, whatever you guys are doing. And right over here, like I said, AVC HD. This is so you can burn it to a Blu-ray or DVD. Now you can burn AVC HD to DVDs. However, once you burn a blank DVD with AVC HD files, your DVD burner won't be able to recognize that disc. So You won't be able to make copies from that unless you probably have a Blu-ray drive. So if you need to make multiple copies or so, keep the files on the computer, or maybe just burn them back as data. But once you burn it as a DVD, a Blu-ray on a DVD, if that sounds right, there's a way to do that. You won't be able to make copies of the AVC HD files once you burn them to a DVD, but you have to authorize it as like a mini Blu-ray or whatever disc, if that makes any sense. So anyway, here is the capture software. And it's just going to take a second to load up. Okay. Now, as you can see, this is HDMI. Okay. And this is my PlayStation 3. And I am recording with HDMI. Now, how am I doing this? Well, it's very simple. Just one quick tip: when you have your Hauppauge, you can simply just click on this big giant button to start recording, so you don't have to use the ARC software to click the record button. So you have two different options if you just want to click record. But I have a DVI and audio to HDMI converter. Now, right over here is the back of the box. So I go HDMI out, and then the other end of the cable is it's DVI. So HDMI, DVI cable. Then I go optical out. Okay, and then this box will rebuild the HDMI and AC3 audio cables back together and spit it out as a brand new HDMI signal with no HDCP copy protection. Now, the PlayStation 3 always has that copy protection on at all times, even when you're gaming, or if you're browsing the internet, or whatever it is, it's always on. On the on the Xbox 360 and the Nintendo Wii, HDCP is only on when you watch a movie like Netflix or Vudu movie service or Amazon On Demand or something like that, or like a Blu-ray disc or something like that. But on the PlayStation 3, it is always on, and that's why you need to use this converter box. Now, I do want to point out, it is CES, and Hauppauge is going to have a new HD-PVR 2 that has the DVI HDMI splitter, switcher, what do they call it, the switcher, splitter, converter. This is going to be built into the new Hauppauge HD PVR 2. I forget what they're calling it, the Plus Edition or the Pro Edition, whatever it's going to be called. But this is kind of cool because this is a really big need that the Sony guys, the PS3 users, really need. Okay. Another thing I just want to go over, I have a Dynex television set. And, it's basically the Best Buy brand. So Best Buy has two brands. They have Dynex and Insignia. And I have the Dynex brand. For some reason, on the HD PVR 2, when I'm recording with Component, I get a picture only in 480p, and it's very choppy, and the picture goes in and out. I don't have that problem with my Samsung. I think it's a problem with the Dynex television set that I have. For some odd reason, the Dynex doesn't like the HD PVR 2. But again, I have a Samsung television as well, and I don't have any problems with the Samsung. It works perfectly. So just keep that in mind. But I mean, my Dynex with the HD PVR 2 HDMI recording and outputting with the HD PVR 2, no problems. For some reason, there's a problem with Component. But anyway, let's get on with the review. And a couple things I do want to show you. There are a few device settings right over here. The video encoder, video standard, and let me see this. I just leave everything on default. Here you can change the brightness, the contrast, the hue, the saturation, the sharpness. Now, I do want to say one thing. The Hauppauge HD PVR 2, in my opinion, has the best picture out of all the capture cards. It's better than the Elgato. It's better than the Roxio Game Capture HD. I'm going to show you some footage coming up very shortly. But the Hauppauge HD PVR 2, seems to has the best dynamic range. That's with the whites and the blacks and the dark shadows and the real bright spots. And some of the footage that I've looked at, it handles that very, very, very well. Now, I know there is some talk about the Elgato having a higher bit rate, and some people will say that the Elgato is better because it has a higher bit rate. That's not always the case. You also have to take in consideration the chip that's doing the encoding. And I feel that the chip that's in the HD-PVR2 is superior than the Elgato because the colors are better, there's more dynamic range right there, and it's just perfect right out of the box. So let me look at the format settings. Go over to here to format. There's some, there's a bunch of these other things. I just leave everything on default. I'm just showing this stuff to you guys. You can change the bit rate, the peak bit rate, dynamic noise reduction. Maybe you could use some of these settings on a Nintendo Wii. Maybe smooth out that 480p or whatever if it's not that sharp. The Nintendo Wii is in HD, so maybe you can, I don't know. Maybe you can make it look a little bit better. 480p is going to look a little soft, but that's pretty much about it. So let's move on to some other stuff. All right, guys. Now I'm going to show you the Bandicam software and how to to start your recording. You just simply click on that capture button. However, the HD-PVR2 does have a record button right on the unit itself, so maybe you're closer to the HD-PVR2, so you can just click this button right here, and when you click it again, it'll stop recording. So maybe you're not close to your computer or whatever, so you have two different options to start your recording. Now what I want to talk about is how to record with the PlayStation 3 with HDMI. This does not apply to the Xbox 360 or the Nintendo Wii, only the PS3. The first thing you want to do is get yourself a DVI to audio to HDMI converter. And as you can see right over here, here is the back of that box. And I have a DVI in and a SPDIF, that's the AC3 audio cable. I have a HDMI one end that goes into the PS3, and then that cable on the other end is DVI. That goes into this box, and the AC3 goes in right in here. And then when it spits it out, I have a brand new HDMI signal with absolutely no HDCP. HDCP is only there for basically stopping people from recording movies from Blu-ray, Netflix, Amazon On Demand, Vudu, and so on. But Sony, for some odd reason, decided to leave it on at all times. However, you can get around it. I do quickly want to point out that CES Hauppauge has just showed up another edition of the HD-PVR2. I forget, it's like the Super Edition or the Plus. It's going to have this box built into the HD-PVR2. So that's really exciting. So, by the time you buy one or whatever, maybe it's going to come out in a couple of months. Maybe you may want to get the upgraded version. So right now what I want to show you is how to set up your PS3 for HDMI recording. What you want to do is go into display settings. You want to go into video output settings, HDMI. Now if you're already in 720p or 1080p, you're probably already all set. Go to custom though, and either pick 720p or 1080p. If you pick 1080i, you're going to have interlacing artifacts. Forget about it. If you don't have a 1080p monitor, 720p is perfectly fine for YouTube. Okay, now what you want to do is go over to sound settings, and you want to go to audio output settings, and you want to click on optical digital output. Again, so basically what you're doing is you're sending the video into the HDMI into the DVI, and then the optical into this box, and again, then it's going to spit out a brand new clean HDMI signal with no copy protection, so you can record your Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever you're interested, Uncharted on your PS3. Now what I want to talk about is how to do live commentary. So if you want to do live commentary with the Hauppauge, there are two ways in how to do it. With component cables, you can use component cables with a sound mixer. I'll leave some information in the description box of this video. I did some videos on that as well. Again, I only had problems with the Hauppauge with the component with my Dynex television set. I don't have any problems with the Samsung. I looked online to see if there was anybody else having problems. I'm the only one in the world who's probably having this problem with the HD PVR 2. So just keep that in mind. If you have a Samsung or a Sony, I probably, if you go with component, it'll probably going to work out fine. But if you guys are going to be buying anything, buy from Amazon. So if you need to return anything, you're not going to have any problems. But again, I think this is a very unique problem with my television set. Okay. So that's pretty much it. So let me show you some Bandicam software and how to do recordings with Bandicam with HDMI. All right, now what I want to do is talk about live commentary. Now, of course, you can do live commentary with a sound mixer. There are some benefits of using a sound mixer, and there are some downsides to using a sound mixer as well. The good thing about sound mixer is, if you get your audio levels right, your first go, you can just upload directly to YouTube, and that's it. Like, you don't want to do any encoding, in post-production, directly to YouTube. You can go component cables with a sound mixer with a Behringer. You get an XLR headset, like a Shure headset, and you're good to go. You have to get used to checking your audio levels. I put headphones into my ears, and I go check, 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 check. And with the sound mixer, it picks up my what I'm saying in the microphone, goes into the sound mixer, and then I hear myself speaking again in the headphones. It's a little hard because I'm also actually hearing myself with my mouth, and then my ears actually hearing my real voice even before it goes into the sound mixer. It's like the speed of light basically, but it's a little bit hard to check that type of levels. You have to get good at it. It took me a little while to get used to that, but I'm pretty good at it. But if you guys aren't used to checking audio levels, I would recommend some software by Bandicam. And there are a few things I want to talk about Bandicam so you guys know what you're doing. First thing you want to do, first off, I do have to say, Bandicam will only record the size of your monitor. If you have a 4x3 monitor, it's only going to record 4x3. If you have a 720p, like my laptop is it's a little higher than 720p. That's the resolution it's going to record at. So you need a 1080p laptop or a desktop to record in 1080p. This is screen capture software. So what you do is, with the ARC software, you go full screen, and then like I have on my laptop, I hit F7 to start recording. So let me just hit full screen. You're probably not, maybe you'll see, okay, you'll see this. Okay, I got full screen working. As you can see, these are the frames per second that are happening right now with the software right now. And I'm going to go out of this, and my Bandicam software is right over here. And there are a few tips I do want to give you guys. Okay. From what I've heard, there really isn't a big difference between 80 and 90% in quality. However, people are saying that the 90%, the files are just a little bit bigger. And people are like, well, it's a little bit bigger, I'll go with 90%. Once you go to 100% with Bandicam, files get very, very huge. And a lot of people say they still can't really see the difference. Also, now I'm only going to talk about North America or Japan. NTSC, I'm 29.970 frames. That's what my TV is basically. So that's what I'm going to pick. I don't know about what you PAL guys are. If you guys if you PAL guys, record an MP4 file with your Xbox 360 or PS3 or Nintendo Wii. See what the file is and check with VLC, the video playback software. See what your frames are natively, and then you can just check this, pick one of the frame rates right here. And I'll leave a link to VLC if you guys don't know about that. Now this is very important. Now maybe you guys are going to use Bandicam for PC recording your World of Warcraft, Team Fortress, whatever. Okay. With the ARC software, the MPEG-1 software works really good with Bandicam. Okay. What I do is I go full screen and then I record with the Bandicam with MPEG-1. Also, you need to set your codec, your audio codec, to PCM. Okay. or Sony Vegas will not pick up the second track. I don't know about Adobe Premiere. I think it's Adobe Premiere. It's the same issue. So what you need to do is, again, set your audio to PCM and MPEG-1. Okay, set it to MPEG-1. All right. You can encode out to WMV or MP4 files or WMO, whatever it is. It'll work fine. Okay. But if you record footage like Team Fortress or World of Warcraft and you record in MPEG-1, right, you need to encode out to WMV. If you encode out to MP4, it's going to look screwed up. Now, this is only for capturing video game footage like PC video games. If you want to encode out to MP4, okay, if you're playing World of Warcraft or Team Fortress, you need to encode in Motion JPEG. I'm going to tell you right now, the files would be much, much bigger than MPEG-1. So that's pretty much about it. Bandicam is really cool. So let me show you what it's going to look like in Sony Vegas. Alright, now I just recorded some video gameplay with the Bandicam software. I'm going to show you some of the benefits of using the Bandicam software. Now, as you can see, here is the game audio, the red track. And here's some random commentary that I did. And I'll just play it over in a second so you guys can see this. Overall, it works out pretty well for everybody. I just want to have some stuff in the audio track so Alright, that was just me babbling about whatever I was just talking about. So basically what I can do is I can change the audio level of the game audio. If it's too high or too low, I can adjust it. I can make my voice louder or softer. And this is actually a really good thing. Now, the reason why this is actually really good, better than even a sound mixer is basically because you get two audio tracks. Unless there's a maybe a virtual sound mixer that can do two audio tracks that I don't know of. The benefit of fixing your levels in post is that you never have to worry about them being screwed up. And if you are going to put an intro on your show on YouTube, like I have an intro, this is my intro right here. You're going to run it out anyway with Adobe Premiere. So a real sound mixer is almost pointless because it doesn't make any difference. I mean, it only takes a couple of seconds to adjust your levels, put the headphones on, and you're good to go. Alright guys, now I want to show you the importance of color correcting. And one of the reasons why it's important to color correct, now of course, you may be playing a game on your Xbox 360, your PS3, your Nintendo Wii, whatever. It doesn't really make any difference. And the game's going to look amazing. You have to see all these beautiful colors and everything. However, when you bring it onto your laptop or your computer, the colors may not be there. And one of the reasons is because, for instance, I have a Dell laptop. And my Dell laptop, I have an i5 processor, an NVIDIA 512 graphics card, and 4 gigs of RAM, and I just didn't buy the monitor. I bought a machine with lots of parts, and a lot of times the monitors are just average. They're good enough to do the job, but they're not amazing monitors. So what do is you color correct. You try to bring up that detail back again that was lost from your TV. Now, of course, some of you guys may have color corrected your TV. There's DVDs that that can show you how to color correct your televisions and so on. I'll leave some of that information. If you're interested in color correcting your TV set, there's DVDs where you put blue glasses on or so on, and you can configure the contrast and the ratio and all that good stuff. So anyway, let's get on to the color correcting. Now there's two ways to pick two plugins. You can click on Video Event, you can pick a plugin, and then you can pick Meteor FX, and you can pick color curves and so on. So let me just close this. Event pan, see how it comes back. You go between these two, but I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to get rid of that one. And what you can do is you can go Sony Color Corrector, and you want to go Add and Sony Color Curves. Now, these are the two main ones that everybody mostly use, even filmmakers, but some people do use other ones. And again, this is all personal preference. You know, you may not like the colors that I pick. I'm not saying they're the colors you would go with, but overall, this is basically how you color correct. Now, one of the things you want to look for, I'm looking at this police car, and the reason why I picked it is because there's a lot of black in the car. You can see the tire, also the gun, of course. That's pretty much going to be there in every single shot. You do not want to crush the blacks to where you're not going to see any of the detail in the blacks. So what we're going to do is I play with the saturation and the gamma and the offset and the gain a little bit. Now, of course, if I was filming something with my Panasonic GH2 and something that was live, I would play with these color balls, the high, the medium, and low. Since this is video game footage, I don't really play with those that much, but you can if you want. So I'm going to be away from my Yeti a little bit, so my voice may be a little soft. So right now I'm using the saturation, and I'm trying to get a nice color boost right here. And I think it's kind of right there where I want it. But, you have to go back a little bit and see how you like some of this stuff. And you see the offset, that kind of... Alright, so that's 32.6. And... I mean 23.6. That's all right. That's not too bad. And then you can go back to here a little bit. See, some people will make this mistake and make it way, way, way too colorful. Have too much yellow in the image. You want to bring it out. See, that looks kind of flat right there. So if you think that has maybe a little bit too much yellow, you could maybe pull it a little bit to the green. You can play with these. Don't get me wrong. That looks a little bit better. Alright, I'm not feeling anything right there. Alright, so I like that. That's pretty good. I like that. Alright. And now we're going to do the Sony color curves. And we're just going to try and get this where I think it looks pretty good. Alright. Again, I'm looking for that black tire, and I don't want to crush it to the point of where it's completely dead. Okay. Now, actually, let me pull this up just a little bit more. If you guys, that's not going to look that video looks a little crappy. Well, the best you guys could probably do is go full screen and put this video in HD. So anyway, what we're going to do is go back to event. Now you see those colors, right? You see them? Boom, boom, all gone. That's color correcting in a nutshell. So play with the colors. If you need to learn how to color correct, you can go and watch some of the filmmaking guys. There's always a new filmmaking channel popping up like almost every day or so. There's a lot of great guys who do filmmaking tips. Dave Dugdale, Philip Bloom. There's many other guys. I'll see if I can find some other tutorials so you guys can learn how to color correct. Some people do tutorials in Sony Vegas, Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, or Avid, or whatever. But that's pretty much it. Now I want to do a versus, component versus HDMI. As you can see right here in this scene, it is extremely hard to tell the difference between the two. However, the HDMI does have a slight edge. Sometimes you can tell the difference. In the next scene that I'm going to show you, it's a little bit more obvious that the HDMI does have an advantage. Now, the encoding chip that was put into the HD-PVR2 is probably the best encoding chip out of all the capture cards. It's better than the Elgato. The Elgato does record at a higher bitrate. However, higher bitrate's not everything. It also comes down to the encoding chip. How good is that chip that's actually doing the crunching? And the Hauppauge HD-PVR2 does have the best encoding chip. And I just left everything here on normal settings. This is just 8 megabytes, and it's better than the Elgato in my opinion. Now, just to be honest with you guys, the Elgato, I feel, does have a little bit more bass in the audio department. However, if you are a commentator, a Call of Duty commentator or some other game you do or whatever, you're going to lower the game audio if you do commentating, okay? So you have to keep that in mind. If you do Let's Plays, your game audio is going to be lower than your voice audio. So, you know, the benefit of the Elgato having a little bit better audio, it doesn't really come into play unless you just play the game and record it and don't speak at all. So, you know, that's something to think about, you know. In my opinion, the Hauppauge has a much better picture, and that's where your benefit's going to be. Chris Smooth, who's one of the big YouTubers on YouTube, he does a lot of commentating with Call of Duty and NBA 2K. He uses the HD-PVR. He probably wanted that advantage in the picture quality. Now, we're going to come up on our next scene very shortly, and you're going to see a little bit more of a difference between the component and the HDMI. You're going to see a little bit in the shadow, and that's pretty much about it that you're going to see. Now, this pantry you're going to see that's like a little bit on the left side of the picture, you're going to see a lot more into the shadow with the HDMI. This fire that you're seeing, my AverMedia would completely crop out where that fire and smoke is with the different layers. If you're familiar with Photoshop and you know about layers, and so you know, some of the other capture cards, they have problems with layers. Even the component is doing extremely well with different layers. And of course, this wall that's coming up, you're going to see more detail with the HDMI. Alright guys, before I wrap up this review, I want to talk about capturing iOS games, probably from iPads or, you know, even the new iPhone, the ones that are widescreen, or the iPod Touches now. Now this is the adapter that I use to capture my gameplay from my new iPad, which is the iPad 3, which is the old iPad now. So as you can see, let me just, right over here, you would stick an HDMI cable into this little slot right here, and that would go to the HD-PVR2. And I've had this problem with the HD-PVR2 and the Elgato, so it's not really a fault of them. However, there's some type of an issue with Apple and how they're outputting the signal. Here is the Walking Dead Assault. This is a 4:3 ratio game. Maybe it's a little bigger than 4:3 by a couple or whatever lines of resolution. But when I hook up this to the HD-PVR2 or the Elgato, I'll see this game. I can play this game on the iPad. However, they will not output to the television for some odd reason. 4:3s can be captured into the HD-PVR2 or the Elgato, but they will not output to your HD TV screen. You will just get a black picture. The downsides where this gets a little annoying is that if you do want to hear any audio, you'll have to hear it from your computer, and you will have an audio delay. And if you're doing live commentary, you're going to hear yourself in an echo. So I usually just play these games with no audio, the 4:3 ones. And again, like I said, same problem with Zombie Wood. And now here's where capturing iOS games becomes really nice. This is Modern Combat 4, and my iPad is basically a 4:3 screen. And when I played it on the iPad, you know, I see a 4x3 screen and I just play it. All right, hook it up to a capture, or just hook it up to a television. You don't even have to hook it up to a capture card, but of course I'm gonna hook it up because I want to record it. It outputs a 16:9 video, just like Xbox 360 or PS3. If you play Gears of War on an old TV set with the composite cables, the yellow cable for video, it fixes the polygons, so it's not like short, crunched or stretched or cropped or anything. It's the proper, width for everything. And that's what, they're doing with the iPad. Now, when I play Modern Combat while capturing, and Modern Combat is on the television, my iPad has a black screen. Only thing I can see is the controls. That's it. There's no video on the iPad at all. That's because the iPad cannot render a 4:3 ratio as video as well for the screen, and then output a 16:9. So hopefully Apple will hopefully get this worked out, maybe with a firmware update. Again, I don't think this is really against the capture cards. There's something funky going on with the with the HDMI adapters, or the games themselves. So I don't really know. Maybe buy the official Apple one if you're interested. If you have an older iPad, maybe just buy it now before it's hard. Those cables become hard to get. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. Sorry it took so long, but I really wanted to be a very, very in-depth review for this video. And I've been editing all day and talking to my Yeti and everything. So once again, guys, this is MP4podcast.com. You have yourself a great day. Later, guys. Bye.